related to each other one way or another. And the Malaysian Islamic Party has a very peculiar history. 1946, the ethno-nationalist UMNO Party is formed. 1951, a major crisis develops called the Nadra Affair, where a Dutch girl who had been converted to Islam was reclaimed, because this was a Dutch girl who was left in Malaysia during the war, to be taken care of by a Malay family, and the girl became a Muslim. Her name was Nadra, a Muslim name. After the war, the Dutch government requested her to be sent back to Holland, and UMNO, which was then the Nationalist Party, was meant to defend this case, but they failed. They failed because they were not vocal and strong enough to prevent Nadra from being reconverted back to Christianity. This caused a sort of crisis of leadership in the UMNO Party, and as a result, 3 successive meetings of the UMNO Dewan Ulama led to the creation of the Malaysian Islamic Party in November 1951. And at that time, it was called the Persatuan Alim Ulama Samadaya. And the Persatuan Alim Ulama Samadaya in 1951 is basically the Dawah wing of UMNO. And this, later on, by 1970, is called PAS. So that's where the Islamic Party comes from. It's interesting that when the Persatuan Alim Ulama Malaya was formed in 1951, the first ulama who read the opening speech, the title of which was "The Ulama and Their Role in Politics," is actually the father of Badawi today in Malaysia. Because a lot of the members of, remember this was the religious bureau of UMNO, so a lot of them had dual membership. You could be a member of PAS and UMNO at the time. This was only stopped when Burhanuddin came in, 56. He said, you can't be both. Choose Islamist or UMNO. Now, the question about the Islamic State here. Now, from the 1930s onwards, like I said, in these cosmopolitan areas, Singapore, Malacca, and Penang, you had an influx of ideas. The thing that galvanized Muslims the most there was the Khilafat movement, of course, post 24, after the end of the Uthmaniyya rule. And the Khilafat movement began in India. It spread, and again you see the role of the Indian diaspora. Huge amounts of money were collected in Penang, Malacca, and Singapore. Penang in particular. And Penang and Singapore became the conduits for their activities to Medan. Medan is another very important center. If you have to really study this network, it's a triangulation. It's Penang, Medan, Singapore. That's your first triangle. So Penang, Medan, Singapore, huge amounts of money collected, and then moving on to Jakarta, heading across Solo, then further up to Vietnam as well. Now, that's the sort of pan-Islamism that comes in. It's really the sort of Martin Kramer Islam assembled sort of thesis. It's the meeting of cosmopolitan Muslims, Malay Muslims, Peranakan Muslims, Arab, Indian Muslims, Eurasian Muslims in places like Penang, Medan, Singapore, calling for support for the Khilafah. But no,
it's not a political project.
It's not a political project. It's not
within the idea of Muslim Merdeka, there is absolutely no idea of Islamic transnational state.
No. See, this is the thing. So it's a support for an idea, the idea of reviving a sort of symbolic power. But at no point, even the Islamic Party, when it was formed in 1951, officially from day one, it says the Islamic State is our project. But what do they mean by that?
Yes.
Up till 1969, the Dewan Ulama, if you look at the structure of the Malaysian Islamic Party, you have the Majlis Tinggi. This is up till 69, up till 69. The Supreme Council, President above, Supreme Council, and then the 3 shuras, Youth Wing, Women's Wing, and Ulama Wing. So Ulama Wing underneath Supreme Council, underneath the President. That's where the Ulama are in PAS, up to 1969. Now, after 1982, then the structure changes,